We're glad you've stayed with us. Welcome to the AM News belt of the show. Now, residents of Esunafo in the Atiwa West district of the Eastern region are complaining about the lack of potable water in their community and have made a direct appeal to President Akufo-Addo to intervene and bring an end to the decade-old challenge. The angry residents also describe as deceit the $1 million per constituency water project the administration started in its first term, but which is yet to deliver any water. The community members tell JoyNews the mere sight of the project, which has now become a white elephant, puts them in great distress. Latif Idris has more.
The Esunafo community has a total population of about 4,000 people who are mainly into cocoa farming, a trade they inherited from their ancestors and are determined to leave behind for their children to continue. Though the main town in the area, potable water has eluded them for decades. There was therefore great expectations when the Special Development Initiative Ministry commenced work on a water project to supply potable water at last. It's been 4 years since they commenced work on this water project, and not a single drop of water has run through it. We continue to drink from unwholesome sources, and that is causing infections among the population.
Yes, abano. So baby biara sa $1 million one constituency she can question. Yes, Shrafu, Achima Shrafu. Yes, you come on.
We appeal to governments to retrieve the $1 million and complete the project for us. This is a stronghold of the MPP, and we don't deserve this. The district assembly's plan to set up a mini pump station for the provision of potable water also hit a snag when a strong wind blew away the storage tank. The challenge of the people, though, is that since the devastation by the strong wind, nobody from the assembly has followed up to fix the problem.
It was from the district assembly. So when the problem came, they never bothered. And the problem is still here that there are some, I don't know how to use them, unscrupulous and devilish people who don't, they just don't want any improvement in the town.
We badly need water in this community. They have made promises to restore the water tank, but that hasn't happened.
The people say attempts to get the assembly to restore the water tank and other accessories have proven futile. Everyone in the community thought the $1 million per constituency project was going to end the era of drinking from unwholesome sources. But now that it has become a white elephant, the people can only wait on government to find a permanent fix to their age-old problem.
Let's talk galamsey now, and after 2 days of deliberation, brainstorming and jaw-jawing, the National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining has elevated the galamsey menace as a national emergency that must be tackled with non-partisan lenses. The two-day dialogue ended Thursday with participants agreeing on the seriousness of the situation and the need for all hands to be on deck. A 15-point communique outlining the agreement of the dialogue was adopted. Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo read portions.
Took note of the widespread allegations of the participation of or the support accorded by people of prominence in government, public and civil service, traditional authorities, business leaders, and other opinion leaders to these illegal mining activities, which has given credence and prominence to the activity. 10. The dialogue, while noting that when properly done, small-scale mining could have the key to significant economic advancement. However, unanimously agreed that galamsey is a major threat to the future of our water resources, particularly in the environment at large, thereby threatening the integrity as a nation. 11. The dialogue therefore agreed by consensus that dealing with galamsey is a national emergency which required urgent and concerted effort. Therefore, all political parties, all stakeholder groups, all individuals need to join the development and execution of this national, not parochial agenda to rid ourselves of the long-standing issue of illegal small-scale mining and the need to implement measures in eradicating it out of our society.
Now, the Food and Drugs Authority has asked manufacturers of herbal products to ensure strict adherence to standards set by the World Health Organization to govern their operations. Principal Regulatory Officer Anita Usukufor says producers face a possible shutdown if they fail to uphold best practices in herbal drug manufacturing practices. She spoke at a meeting with industry players in Kumasi. Kofi Asare has more in the following report.
The FDA is collaborating with the Herbal Drugs Manufacturers Association of Ghana to abreast industry players on standards for efficacy. Principal Regulatory Officer Anita Usukufor says herbal manufacturers will have no excuse but to conform to good practices.
We've been going around to their facilities for some time, and when there are issues for them to address, which is non-compliances, they are asked to do it and they do it well. However, we've gotten to a stage in the regulation that they have to upgrade the way in which they handle other issues that may come up from the facility management, cleaning, sanitation, and documentation as a whole. So this is an interactive program to strengthen the already bond that we have with the local industry, which is the Herbal.
President of the Herbal Drugs Manufacturers Association, Dr. Solomon Piakubi, wants President Akufo-Addo to publicly announce the efficacy of herbal drugs to allay public perception and to boost the industry. According to him, the industry is ready to produce quality products and adhere to good manufacturing practices.
If you recommend and you ask Ghanaians to eat dawa, kontomire, and the rest, automatically you are talking about herbal medicine. We use all these things in our production processes. So if the president should come in and add his voice, for people to ask they have confidence in orthodox medicine, we should have the same thing in herbal medicine or the organic medicine or the multi-component drugs. It will go a long way to boost our industry, as in the demand.
Reporting for Joy News, Kofi Asare.
A bit of a sad story now, and it's that of a 37-year-old woman suffering from breast cancer who was sent away from home together with a 9-year-old child by her husband. We brought to you that story weeks ago, and she has received some support from you. Some of you sent in various sums of money to the tune of 2,000 Ghana cedis to start with her initial treatment. Abu, as we call her, is grateful for the support. She is also asking for your prayers, especially during the holy month of Ramadan. Correspondent Peter Senu, together with health officials managing Abu, presented the cash amount to her.
Abu's plea for help has yielded some results. Cash amount of 2,000 Ghana cedis from donors has been presented to Abu to start with her initial treatment. Abu could not hide her emotions about the gesture to her as she broke down with tears before able to muster courage to express her appreciation.
Abusiafo, with the Misrama, and Bonabia Baba, and so her with the Mumbuame, more Munsamo be the Mumbuame, near Banana de Besson, and so Miss Ramon Mumbuame. My being so her, Nyankopon Damase, me Bompire Mobia, or be away in some.
Some help has come, but it would not suffice. Those of you who have to support, please help. God bless everyone who has helped. I also ask you to help me this fasting and prayer month.
One day I know she could do Mesha Tanyeni, Bana the Shiba Bandishi, Babana Bashina, Bamana, Amakutanyeni, Dramadan Gaduka Kutanyeni, the chief Imam Duka Kutanyeni, Kue Tanyen and Samalafia, no Samalafia, now go them Allah.
One of Abu's co-tenants, Stella, says Abu is struggling with her condition. She is also asking for more support for her. It is not pleasant to see her in pain. Some of you have helped, but it is not enough. We plead for more support for her. Abu's mother was also present at the presentation. I thank you. God bless you all. I don't have the means to support my daughter. Please help me. The district director for health in the Biakuya district, Rita Urapa, whose team is taking care of Abu, led the presentation. She is grateful, but also asking for more support for her, as the total cost for her treatment could cost as much as 20,000 Ghana cedis.
I just want to thank everyone that contributed to this worthy cause. This money that we have raised, 2,000, is going to do something. From the look of things, it will cost about 20,000 because we need to do blood transfusion, lab investigations, X-ray before the chemo can be done or chemotherapy can be done, after which surgery will take place. And the chemotherapy, she needs to do about 3-4 times at a start. Then she will do others before the surgery can be started. So we are still appealing for more donations in terms of cash and kind.
Peter Senu for JoyNews.
If you're touched, well, indeed, you can continue helping Abu. And that is all we bring you this morning by way of the news. The news review is up next on the AM show. Do stay.
Ben, good morning.
You know, I feel like doing this morning.
Yeah.
What was that? I'm thankful.
I love the music, by the way. I mean, Sheka is one of my favorite rappers. I mean, I think he can be up there, and then I expect him to be up there. But I love his music, and it's a wonderful, inspirational song.
Someone said once that when someone tells you have potential, it's two things. Yes, you can go up there, but it also tells you that so I guess if Shaker is listening this morning, there's a lot he can do. But it's a thankful Friday on the AM show. We're thanking God for, look, it's been 4 months. I had COVID, survived it. I didn't die, thankfully. And it was a mess for me because per what the authorities say, I had malaria, typhoid, and COVID at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah. So I am so thankful just to be here this morning. I had a rough day yesterday, but I'm alive. How about you? What are you thankful for, Akable?
I mean, for life, obviously. I always hold the view that once you have life, it's God's gift to you to take a go at a lot of things. So you're able to try and go to work, you're able to try and go to school, you're able to try and eat and do all the other things that you want to do. So that is what, first and foremost, I'm grateful for. Also, for God's protection of all of us throughout the pandemic period. Unfortunately, some of our very great ones, loved ones, among others, passed on, but God kept us. Then, about the carnage on the roads, we all come from various parts of the capital to work every morning, and God takes us all. And so if you are watching us this morning, I mean, let's all be thankful to God for his protection.
We're thankful for little blessings, for the ability to use our voices on World Voice Day, for the ability to be here and work. And I thank God for my family. My mom, Susie Akakwo. I don't do this often on radio or television, but Susie Akakwo, if you're watching me this morning, thank you for the little boy that you brought up. And Tony Akakwo, my brother, good morning to you. Anyway, so enough of the salutations. Let's dig into the papers. This morning, Akable, I have the Ghanaian Times, the Daily Guide, the Finder newspaper, Daily Dispatch, and Republic Press. What do you have?
The Daily Graphic, BNFT, Daily Statesman, The Custodian, and finally the Ghanaian Publisher.
All right. Would you like to kickstart for us?
Yes, I'll start from the Daily Graphic. And Jan Apentin wants broadcasting bill passed. It's on the front page. African World Airlines organizes test flights to Ho, also on the
former president of the Ghana Association of Writers.
Yes, and he used to be the chairman of the National Media Commission as well.
Yes.
Motorway lights substandard is according to the Ghana Standards Authority. I'm sure I'll tell you more about the story later on. Apply anti-galamsey laws rigidly. Consultative dialogue is making that recommendation. The back page, Trader 29 jailed for robbing IMF staff And work on Accra Tema Beach Road on course is also on the back page of the Daily Graphic.
Okay, did you check out the center spread?
Let me do that quickly. The center spread now. It has the story about patronized GRA registration exercise for Ghana card.
Right.
NIA urges public. Okay. The other one is youth admonished against get-rich-quick mentality and strengthen healthcare system for sustainable development is coming from Asante Hene.
Okay, let's quickly check out the Ghanaian Times newspaper. Final day of the National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining. Galamsey Kanka is national emergency. Let's resolve to end it. How do you feel about that tag? National emergency.
Well,
is it fitting to reflect where we are as a country?
Yes, it is. If you look at the science in terms of what the CSIR, among others, found, in the impact on our water bodies, among other things, it shows that in the next couple of years, if we are not careful, we would have to be importing water to drink in this country. And so it has long been a national emergency. And now once we've declared it this way, we expect those who have the power to make things right, to follow through with what ought to be done. I have seen the recommendations from that engagement. I think it's what we all knew would come out anyways. And so we expect the implementation to be very different this time around. And it's a collective thing. It's not just about the police, the soldiers. It's about you and I, those of us who know where the gold is, but we know we don't have the license to go there. We go there anyways and destroy the water bodies completely.
What do you think about these two? And I'll start with this quote from Mr. President, what he said on the back of this. Mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches. That is what he said. And I want you to tie that into the European Union and the stance they've adopted. They import large chunks of our cocoa, about quite a huge percentage. Some say even up to about 80% of it. But looking at what they are doing now, saying that if you don't get the galamsey thing right, it's going to affect our cocoa imports or, from Ghana. Is the European Union being a friend here, do you think, or is it being a territorial, I don't want to say nationalistic because it's not just one nation, but a territorial bully? Some have looked at it from both sides.
Yes, I mean, it's fair to look at it from both sides. I mean, the quote from the president, I actually listened to the whole speech that he delivered that day, and he made an interesting point. He says, the nation Ghana does not need anyone to tell it about the fact that it needs to protect its environment. He makes the point that this is our land that our forefathers toil and give to us, blessed with all sorts of things. And so it is our responsibility to protect it. And so whatever steps the EU wants to take, it's fine, it's good. It's good they are threatening sanctions. For some of us who want the environment to be protected, we are happy about it. But we as Ghanaians need to wake up to this whole galamsey issue and decide that, look, it's bad, it's wrong. I mean, there's good money there. I'm told a lot of money. I watched a video of a gentleman, just a little piece of gold.
Yeah.
And he said it's
a little nugget. Do you know how much that could be worth?
Little. He said more than 10,000 cedis, just very little. Yeah. And it was part of a lot of nuggets he had collected at the end of a day. And so I was watching a video and I'm like, goodness, this guy.
Have you checked out how much a gram of gold costs now on the international market?
No, I haven't recently.
I mean, you're looking at, if you convert into cedis, you're looking at something hovering around 500 cedis.
Ooh. So that explains, I mean, that is why we need the buy-in of everyone, because it's for something worth this, Charlie. Telling the guys.
Some people are exploiting it, but you see, while I feel that the European Union may be, in a way, overstepping its bounds, because sometimes I feel some of these Western countries feel they can justify themselves by certain things and intrude in our affairs while we can't do same to them. But on the other hand, when Mr. President says no one needs to come and tell us about the situation we're facing, but you see some of the people at the helm of affairs, some of our political leaders and other leaders are all involved.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's neither here nor there. While the rhetoric is on one end, and I totally agree with him, we don't need to be told. I mean, we're seeing it. We're seeing it affecting our natural resources. But on the other end, the same people we're counting on to solve the problem are part of the problem. And in fact, a lot of our own people in the rural areas where these mining communities are also part of the problem. Yeah. They are doing it illegally. But that's a major story that we'll be delving into this morning. 600 rendered homeless after heavy rainstorm in Nanton. Review 5% of common fund for MMDAs to ensure proper sanitation management. And retired teacher arrested for incest. That is a sad one, and he is Seth Kwejo Dese, 69, who allegedly sexually abused his teenage daughter over the past 2 years and is helping officers of the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit in Ho in investigations into the matter. The father of 8, who was arrested in Ho on Tuesday, has admitted maintaining an amorous relationship with the girl to prevent her from sleeping with other men.
Hey, yo.
He says he doesn't want her to sleep with other men, and so he must... Anyway. It's rather sad, very sad.
That's his explanation for the incest.
That's his explanation. When you go to page 5, a bit of international news. Uganda's missing, confirmed to be in detention. You know, there was this case about a lot of Ugandans simply, going up in smoke, vanishing. Well, it appears a lot of them are in detention. And there's COVID forgery ring uncovered in Mozambique. So 4 suspected members of a counterfeit ring producing fake COVID-19 negative certificates have been arrested. You remember we had our own situation that had to be clarified by...
It was investigated and they realized the allegations were not supported by the evidence.
Right. So when you go to the middle spread, it's about the galamsey situation. And then Ho Airport welcomes first flight as AWA lands first test flight. I'm talking about the Africa World Airlines. And that was yesterday. It was momentous because, well, we had it some years back in Wa. Now we have it in Ho as well. A positive development, but we wait to see how this will impact the economy of Ho, and especially in COVID-19 times, how this will really have an impact. I hear it's, 17 minutes?
Yes, and the other point that I'm equally concerned about it is the sustainability for the airline itself, whether it's profitable. Do you have people who will be...
You mean the airlines that will be
flying to that area, and so else you would have a situation where it will just cost more to be traveling, flying there than actually making money from it. And so I hope the feasibility studies that was carried out supports the need to have that airport functioning in the manner that they want it to function now. And so, I mean, I can only wish all the actors well in that endeavor.
And here I would like to laud both ends. This was a project that the erstwhile administration worked on, completed basically, and now the current administration is seeing to its opening and running. And I think that is the sort of collaborative development we want to see. One party starts something, yes, another party continues it. We want to see more of that. On the back page, Kotoko target revenge over... I hear the new one is only COVID-19, only AstraZeneca, only Gbogbo. We will beat them.
We'll beat them.
Are you an Asante Kotoko fan?
Fantastic.
Solid.
We'll beat them because we are.
You know what's up.
We are top of the league. We are leading them by 1 point.
1 point. And I think Caroline is also right.
They beat us in the first round.
They beat us in the first leg. So this time, we're targeting revenge. It will not be only Rosalinda. It will be only will fall. Only will fall. That's the new hashtag. 50 tidal wave victims relocate to Jetakba. That's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper.
I take you to the BNFT now, and 30 city landfill tipping fee paid is below world standards. It's according to MP for Ho Central, Benjamin Kodo. And no better time than now for hydrogen energy policy. The Institute of Energy Security is making that call. Hastening takeover to process to save Airtel Tigo. Staff appeal to government. The back page has this story about the Western Regional Minister assuring Takrady Market Circle traders of space. Soft skills key to bridging gap between academia and industry. APSA to work panel. The center spread of the BNFT now. There's this story by its dates and Ramadan connection promote natural labor as well. It's an article by Dr. Raphael Nyakote. This other story about the family affair. You can find it's a quite piece of interesting articles in there. It's a bit about vanilla cake recipe. I think I should keep this paper and try it over the weekend. A vanilla cake recipe. It's under the segment Explore with JB. So if you want to cook vanilla cake, page 7 of the BNFT, free tutorials. You get a paper and you get a recipe. Are you trying it as well?
Oh, I love cake, but I'm trying to control my sweet tooth.
No, you should try and cook it.
Cook it?
Yeah, I mean, bake the cake, it's no problem.
I bake.
So you can bake the vanilla?
I can bake. I have baked before. Cake, cookies,
I guess I'm
muffins.
the only one who needs
It's just been a while.
I'm the only one who needs the recipe.
But you know the recipes, right?
I don't know, but I'll read from the paper and try it.
Nowadays, thanks to social media and of
you
course,
can find
online stuff, you can practically do everything.
Some people say that implementation is sometimes
I'll tell you something. When you start, especially whether it's cooking proper or baking, you will make a few mistakes as you start. I mean, how much when you're measuring your butter or margarine or whatever you decide to use, but at some point it may get burnt because of the temperature and all of that. But over time, you know instinctively that this and that, and you'll get it right. Maybe we should have a show someday where the two of us go at it, you know.
Well, let me think about it.
The Daily Guide newspaper, Galamsey threatens water resources. Kumasi kidnappers planned for guns. And this has to do with those who, kidnapped the Canadian girls. That recording has been played, phone calls between them. And in one of them, they spoke about getting a big gun that will make everybody stand aside.
I see.
You get it? Like when you see the cyborg coming with his gun, you would want to step aside. Well, now it's the law that is going to get them to step aside. We don't need such characters in our society. But the talk goes on. Nana picks 18 deputy ministers. Interesting names that have been popping up. We wait to see what finally will transpire. Alfred Tuayabua, Mavis and Cancer Bwedu, and someone who has actually lectured me before at the Faculty of Law, University of Ghana, Herbal.
Ooh.
Yes, his name is there. I mean, we wait to see.
Which ministry is he been?
Well, these are just, names making the rounds. Moses Enim, Fatih Abubakar, Obi Amwan, Nana Dokua, William Oreku, Edu. All of them here with their photos. And the story is actually on page 3 of the Daily Guide newspaper. Should time suffice, we'll bring you details of that story. Western North ICOP taking shape, and that flight to Hull is also there. When you go to the center spread, celebrities plead for Ekwapim Polo, and today is D-Day, right? So we'll see how things go. We'll find out too whether she's taken seed or not. Government working hard to restore economy, that's according to Ken Oforiata. On the back page, can Oli reclaim a top spot? No, they can't. And young apostles call on Ashford. And there's player ban for headbutting teammate. And that is Grimsby Town forward Stephen Payne, who could play again this season after receiving only a 3-match suspension from the English Football Association for headbutting his teammate during Saturday's League 2 defeat against Bradford City.
I take you to the Daily Statesman now, and Ghana reserves hitting $8.8 billion will preserve cedi stability. That is Fitch Solutions. Ghana's cocoa faces potential danger. EU threatens ban over land degradation from galamsey. And COVID-19 confirms resilience of Ghana's healthcare system. It's also on the front page of the Daily Statesman. The back page has this story. This announcement actually about the death of Berima Ochre Boateng the First, also known as Dr. J.F. Ochre Daku. He's the father of Gabi Asari Ochre Daku. So the paper is announcing that. But some other stories in the Daily Statesman, the center spread, has this story here. Transacting Momo without ID, MTN blocks 7,000 agents. I think we spoke about this story some few days back.
Yep. It was actually yesterday.
Yesterday, okay.
And they said there had been 250,000 transactions, out of which 7,000 had problems, so they blocked them.
Direct the reopening of our shops, Nigerian retailers plead also in the center spread. There's this interesting advice here from the Petroleum Consumer Watch about what to do when you smell gas. And so, number one, they say open doors and windows to get rid of the gas, extinguish all sources of naked flame, and check and see if the gas has been left on. If not, there's probably a gas leakage. So turn off the regulator and call technicians to service your stove. And do not turn electrical switches on or off. Don't use matches or naked flames. Do not smoke. Don't use naked flames to check for leakage. How do you use naked flame to check for gas leakage? And finally, if it is safe to do so, try to locate the source of the leak by applying a solution of soapy water to the base of your cylinder valve or along the flexible hose. So some good advice from the Petroleum Consumer. There's some more tips for motorists at the filling station. I'm keeping that. Just go and get Daily Statesman and get that tip.
It's interestingly in the Finder newspaper as well, but maybe just a quick addition. When that is happening, if you suspect a gas leakage, even turning on the light, apparently when you turn on the light, there are some little sparks or something. So it could trigger an explosion. If you suspect that, don't switch on the light wherever it is, the kitchen or whatever. And I think I saw something recently about wanting, sometimes people want to check the level, how much gas is in the cylinder, and sometimes they want to play with the nozzle and all of that just to find out how much, or shake it. Actually shaking the cylinder could create problems. It could actually explode. So what you want to do, what I heard was that you could pour water on it and on the cylinder, just one side of it, and I think the water would dry up to the point where there is no gas, and then where there is gas,
that's interesting,
it will remain a bit wet, but where there is no gas, it will dry up. So at least
that's a way of...
Yes, I found out recently, and interesting bit. But let's check out the Finder newspaper. Kaswa murder is a warning to be vigilant at all levels. That's according to the chief imam. CBOD donates projectors to University of Ghana Business School. We thank them. And galamsey, EU warns Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire over possible ban of cocoa into EU markets. KGL's 11-year contract to cripple NLA financially. Gross revenue sharing is NLA 25% and KGL 75%. There's also President Akufo-Addo mourns with Kweku Bako, and that's a sad one. I think I saw a post from Gabriel Sariochidako also commiserating with him. Government to partner AGI to promote domestic tourism. That's according to Dr. Awal. And I think Anas as well.
Yeah.
Commiserating with the man he calls his boss, mentor.
The vice president was also at this program. I also saw a photograph of suspended NDC members, Kokwani Doho and...
what's it? Which one?
Alote Jacob.
Alote Jacob.
Yeah.
I saw a photo.
The members of the suspended NDC Members Association. They were also present. But,
the Want-Away Members Association.
Yeah. But I mean, Kweku is a friend of the station. So,
yes.
I mean, we commiserate with him.
Especially a friend of Newsfile.
Yeah, Newsfile.
So when you get into the Finder newspaper, quite a number of interesting stories. Look at this one. 66 die from abortion in 2020, according to the Ghana Health Service. 66. And due to abortion-related complications. Now, more than 54,000 cases of abortion, out of which 25,866 cases were classified as spontaneous abortions, were recorded in the country's health facilities in 2020. A lot of more data it gives there, but it describes spontaneous abortion, also referred to as miscarriage, as being the loss of a fetus before the 20th week of pregnancy. Similarly, 12,272 medical abortions, the termination of a pregnancy with a pill within the first 10 weeks of pregnancy by a medical professional or an individual, was recorded in 2020, as compared to 10,834 cases recorded the year before. So that's a jump of almost 2,000. That's a jump of about 1,600, thereabouts. So more and more people are committing abortions. I mean, some spontaneous that you can't do anything about, and that's the 60s, feeds into the 66. But others just wanting to do something, whether legal or illegal, because there are legal ways of doing this, and illegal ones as well. But sad. Let's say yes to life. Let's be pro life. I just wanted to highlight these stories, and then we'd move on into the next papers and get into the details. It's 50 already. And where is that story? There's something I saw. Okay, so let me do this one. Ritual murders, public officials must also be responsible. And there is this one. FDA, GSA assure of resolve to manage dead fish incident prudently. Still being managed. That's it with the Finder newspaper.
I'll quickly run through the Ghanaian publisher and the custodian. The custodian first. Bako bids farewell to Sweet Gloria. That's a photograph of Mr. Kweku Bako and President Nana Akufo-Addo. There's also another photograph of President Akufo-Addo chatting with Alote Jacobs. Then finally a photograph of Anas Arimiao, Anas, or a person that we've come to associate to be Anas. He has a bit of the beats and the hat, so I can't tell for a fact if it's announced. But NDC fights EU over Ghana's 2020 polls. It's also on the front page of The Custodian. And finally, the Ghanaian publisher, Stop Insulting Razak Opoku, concern NPP members warn. And President Akufo-Addo in Congo, galamsey is a national crisis, according to stakeholders. And inadequate funding, cause of poor sanitation, MP tells government. And finally, ECG staff defend managing director, describe union's allegations as baseless. It's on the front page of the publisher.
The Daily Dispatch says, by popular request, Akufo-Addo's views on declaration of interest in NPP flag bearer race. That's on the back page of the paper. And pictures there of Mr. Joe Gate. Well, he didn't get a ministerial nod this time, moved from the Railways Ministry. Some say because he was too quick to announce his wanting to contest. But he's going to be in there. Dr. Apreku, who would not be a new face, is also in there. The vice president, they've written there, interestingly, pending. And then there's Mr. Alan Tremanting, also pending. It's a tricky situation for those in government, but we'll see how that pans out. Government advised to boost proper waste management by providing funding. And yes, that will be it for the stories I'll highlight from the Daily Dispatch newspaper.
I'll touch on the story on the front page of the Daily Graphic about the motorway lights being substandard. And so the newly installed street lights on the 19-kilometer Kratema motorway do not conform to the country standard for street lighting. The Ghana Standards Authority has said. The DG, Professor Alex Dodo, explained that Ghana's standard for street lighting laid down the fundamental principles that govern the lighting of public thoroughfares, including motorways, arterial routes, residential routes, town and city centers, and pedestrian-oriented areas. So he said, although the method of providing adequate public lighting was diverse and new developments and techniques were continually being introduced, the Ghana standard had been limited to methods that gave results within acceptable economic limits. And so it continues on page 3 that the purpose of street lighting is to create a lighted environment which will contribute to the safe and comfortable movement of vehicles. He's quoted as saying that the lights on the motorway are dim, and that means they don't conform to the country's standard, and that is unacceptable. So that is coming from him. He reacting to the story, the lights go dim, which was carried in yesterday's edition of the Daily Graphic. And so that is the situation there. And so the GSA asked how the GSA allowed substandard lighting on the motorway. He said the Public Procurement Authority, which was mandated to examine the contract details to ensure value for money, failed in its responsibility. So this is to the PPA and all other agencies. The lights on the motorway that I was telling Benjamin yesterday that I don't drive on the motorway at night because of the darkness. We are told the lights over there are actually substandard.
Well, was it yesterday? I saw a post supposedly from the one guard, Stoneboy, saying that he had used the stretch and there was light or something of the sort. I saw something like that, and some people were saying, oh, then that's a positive development. I don't know how real it is because I've not been on the stretch in recent days, at least. So maybe something to check.
I actually saw a photograph from sports journalist Benedict Osu, also indicating that some lights have been fixed. But you recall yesterday, Daily Graphic's front page did a story that the lights were dim. And so that's what the Ghana Standards Authority was responding to and indicating that those lights are actually substandard. And so, I mean, that's where we are now. Something needs to be done about there.
I don't know, has this changed though? This is something else. It came to mind yesterday, but I forgot to mention. The bit about street lights being on during the day and then being off during the night when you actually need them. Do you remember that phenomenon?
Yes, I remember it.
And I think almost as recently as maybe a month or two ago, I still saw, so in the afternoon, when you don't need street lights, they are on. At night, when you need them, they are off.
I haven't seen any in that state recently, but that was of major concern. Another thing that we've seen happening that is also good is that a lot of the street lights we are installing these days are the solar-powered ones. In the past, we had the ones that used electricity, and when it's light out, then everywhere is pitch dark. And so that is also a step in the right direction. But, I mean, obviously, we need to install the standard that ensures that visibility is as good as it can be.
Well, let me quickly do this, and we can delve into the details in the next 2-3 minutes. I'll give you all the time to delve into that. The galamsey bit we've spoken about, and we're having a conversation on, so expect more on that. But I wanted to highlight this one in the Republic Press newspaper. Soldiers on rampage at Chado. And reports reaching the Republic Press indicate some military personnel yesterday unleashed violence on demonstrators who were protesting against a so-called encroachment on La Stu lands. The officers were also said to have maltreated a journalist who had chanced on the protest around the military cemetery at Chado and decided to report it. The protesting group included the Coalition of La Associations and the La Traditional Council. So, pretty interesting development there.
Yeah, there's actually a statement I saw from the...
Right, you want to bring us details?
Yes, it's signed by E. Agwikwashi. He's a Colonel Director for Public Relations, and it indicates that in the morning of Thursday, 15th April 2021, GAF received intelligence that some civilians were demonstrating and moving towards Bema camp. And so a team was dispatched to confirm the report, but they could not determine the intentions of the demonstrators. On seeing the soldiers, the demonstrators who had no police permit to demonstrate became violent. The team called for reinforcements which came to stop the violent youth from causing damage to military installations. It is worthy to note that the general area where the demonstration was taking place houses vital military installations of national security nature. And so the implications of any distraction in the area cannot be overemphasized. And in order to restrain the demonstrators, the statement says reasonable force had to be applied to remove them. Thus, in the process, some of the demonstrators or persons got injured. It later came to light that some of the injured persons were journalists who were there to cover the event. So GAF seized the opportunity to apologize to the journalists and all innocent persons who might have been affected by the troops' efforts to clear the unruly demonstrators. And it ends by saying that the military high command has directed that the case be investigated to ensure that such unfortunate incidents do not occur.
So we've been making mention of this, we've been reporting this, and the journalist who was accosted was told to delete his recording of happenings and photos he had taken, and he was manhandled a bit. I don't know, because you speak to the authorities, those in the higher echelons, and they tell you these things must not happen, that a police officer or whoever, of course, you must know at certain points, no one would want to be on camera, but they have no right at all. I think Samson Ladi Anyanini has made it clear here. They have no right to come and say, give me your phone, I'll delete anything or anything of the sort. But it appears there's no understanding to that effect.
Yeah, it still happens. I mean, I have experienced that a few times where I was approached by some members of the security agencies asking that I delete my files. I mean, after I've gone around it. Did
you?
No, I didn't. In the Erastus Asaridonko, during the report about the soldiers that he found to be protecting the illegal miners, also, they were asked to delete their files, and they had to actually recover it using other means subsequently. And so it's quite unfortunate that happens. It's good the Ghana Force in this instance has quickly issued a statement to that effect. Hopefully, those who are injured, they would assist investigations should a complaint be filed against the persons who assaulted the journalist and the other individuals. Then it's for them to go and prove in court or justify that it was reasonable force that was necessary to be used.
I just saw Usain Bolt's post about his daughter Olympia. You should check out that bit. It's so cute. Oh. But happy birthday to Arnold J. Boateng of Ernest Chemist and Bomso Church of Christ in Kumasi. It's from Ekosam and Anita. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday as well to Gladys Nana Ago Ama. And it's from your husband, Ebony Ama of NSIA Insurance and your children. Insia Insurance, I beg you. My apologies for that. And then Laurentia Na Adaku Ama, Nathaniel Ni Sasa Ama Jr., Clifford Nana Yamua Ama, Princess Nana Agogo Ama. It's from all of them to you. Well, tomorrow on News File, there's going to be quite a lot of action. And the topics to be discussed: 771 die in road accidents in 3 months. They're going to be talking about the solutions. Then, renewing a failed galamsey fight. What is new? from the consultative meeting. And then Act 1036 session, that is session 2, how to acquire and secure land. Last week we had Kwame Jan.
It was fantastic.
It was amazing.
Free land law lecture. Goodness, we have to pay for that one.
Who is doing the paying?
All of us, we have to pay. I mean, it was
Pharmacy Cabra. Well, that's what is going to be on Newsfile. It's time for sports now on the AM show. Do stay. We'll be right back.
In Greater Accra, there are so many Premier League clubs. One of those clubs is Great Olympics, and they'll be coming up against Asante Kotoko, who are the league leaders, later today on March day 20 of the Ghana Premier League. In the first round of the season, Great Olympics defeated Asante Kotoko by 1-0. Head coach of Great Olympics, Anowaka, had said that Kotoko should be doing better considering the quality they have. Now he says the Porcupines have improved under the tutelage of Mariano Barreto. Great Olympics dropped to second place on the league log after losing their last game against Legon Cities at the Accra Sports Stadium. They will be coming up against Asante Kotoko, who currently occupy the summit of the league table, having beaten Brekum Chelsea by 2-0 at the Obuasi Lenkley Stadium. Head coach of Great Olympics, Arno Walker, believes the Porcupines have improved under the tutelage of Mariano Barreto.
Seriously, well, I would say they have improved since they've had a white coach. Maybe that has also changed the team in a way. But I don't know, and I will try to watch the match maybe tonight, then think of what to do.
A defeat for Great Olympics will see them further drop on the league table. However, the former Brekum Chelsea boss insists he's not under any pressure, though the 3 points are very vital for him and his team.
There's no pressure on me because I have confidence in my players and they take instructions from me. They do what I ask them to do. So since everything is working for me and the team, seriously, we are preparing seriously for them, and we need our 3 points, very, very important. So at the end of the day, on a quiet note, I don't want to talk, but at the end of the 90th minute, the result will tell it all.
Mariano Barreto was engaged as a substitute replacement for Maxwell Konedu, who was sacked in December 2020. In this game later tonight, Asante Kotoko will be missing the services of one of their most influential players, Fabio Gama. The Brazilian received a third booking when the Porcupines defeated Brekum Chelsea by 2-0. However, head coach of the team, Mario Barreto, insists the absence of the Brazilian will not affect his game plan and how he intends to win this game against Great Olympics.
There are one thing I know sure, we will start with 11, and we will start with our best 11. So we will start that match. I think he will give all the confidence for us that he will do the best to keep the chance to play. So this is the way. We are recovering some of our injured players. Sarkozy are coming this week training, free. Taylor is starting.
Now let's take a look at the rest of the fixtures for March day 20 in the Ghana Premier League. It is a clash of the top of the table as Asante Kotoko come up against Great Olympics later tonight. And on Saturday, that is tomorrow, Elmina Sharks will play Wafa. King Faisal will host Ashanti Gold. And on Sunday, Brekum Chelsea will play Ebusua Dwarfs. Dreams FC will host Kerala United. Midiama FC will play Legon Cities. Bechim United versus Ediana Stars. Techiman 11 Wonders versus Liberty Professionals. Whilst House of Oak will sit at the Accra Sports Stadium and play Inter Allies. From Ghana Premier League football, let's do issues relating to the national team, the Black Stars. In November 2019, assistant coach of the Black Stars, Ibrahim Tanko, was sacked by his boss, Kwesi Appiah. Ibrahim Tanko says he feels disappointed and hurt because lies were the issues that led to his dismissal as the first assistant to Kwesi Appiah.
I heard a lot of things, you know. In Ghana, we talk a lot that Kwesi said I was undermining him, I want the job and all these things. I mean, I never did that, but I don't want to just argue with him. Why? Why do I have to undermine you after 2 years of work that I want to take your job and all these things? You see? Let's leave it, because I know there's a lot of people who their job is to spread rumor, to have a favor from someone else. And I can assure you that afterwards, Coach Kwesi Appiah have also, I can't say regret it, but he knows the truth now, that what was saying about me was not true.
Do you feel hurt that this happened?
I feel hurt because of the lies. I mean, changes can come. That one, there's nothing wrong about change. But to lie about someone because you want a favor or something, that is what makes me disappointed. And those people are still doing it now, even though I'm not with the senior national team.
Okay, they claim you were undermining me, you wanted a Black Stars job, but don't you need a Black Stars job?
Of course, I need, if I get the job, I will do, but I will not go and sit somewhere, or I will not go, they even said I went to the minister to tell him to give me the job. But the minister was there. That time was Honorable Nsiama. Yeah. And I never, you see, I'm someone who will never go to an office in the ministry or FA, just go in there. If I don't have appointment, I will not go there. You understand? Because I'm not used to that kind of just wake up, I'm going to the FA or I'm going to the ministry what am I going to do there? If they need me, they will call me and then I'll go. So all these things were lies, but I just decided to keep quiet to move on with my life.
It is because I want us to have a consensus on a sustainable method of mining the minerals in our land. We cannot have one part of the political divide campaigning for galamsey in the bush and the other waging an official fight against galamsey in the open. We must demonstrate that we love our land and are capable of taking care of it ourselves. We do not need foreigners to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian land, our inheritance. We do not need special interest groups to campaign for the protection of Ghanaian soil, flora, and fauna. It is the land of our birth. It is the land we inhabit. It is the land that supports our lives and livelihoods. It is the land we named Ghana at independence 64 years ago. And we, the Ghanaian people, must be its best protectors of partisan politics. We must, however, come to the understanding that small-scale mining and the requirement to do away with illegalities in that sector should be beyond partisan politics. Government has a major responsibility to this end, as we are accountable for the stewardship of this sector, as indeed we are of all other sectors of national life. I am determined to enforce the laws on illegal mining, no matter the subject, high or low. I will, however, not act on hearsay or mere allegations without more. I will not hesitate to act, though, where the evidence is hard before the police and I'll do so irrespective of the standing of the person or persons involved. That is the true meaning of equality before the law. I urge this colloquium to be bold and forthright in its deliberations. In other words, say it as it is. No subject or person should be above critique. Politicians, traditional authorities, policymakers, media, so-called influential people should all not be beyond your scrutiny. At the end of the day, what the Ghanaian people expect from this process are solutions which will assist in dealing with this endemic problem.
Of the widespread allegations of the participation of or the support accorded by people of prominence in government, public and civil service, traditional authorities, business leaders, and other opinion leaders to these illegal mining activities, which has given credence and prominence to the activity. 10. The dialogue, while noting that when properly done, small-scale mining could have the key to significant economic advancement. However, unanimously agree that galamsey is a major threat to the future of our water resources, particularly in the environment at large, thereby threatening the integrity as a nation. 11. The dialogue therefore agreed by consensus that dealing with galamsey is a national emergency which required urgent and concerted effort. Therefore, all political parties, all stakeholder groups, all individuals need to join the development and execution of this national, not parochial, agenda to rid ourselves of the long-standing issue of illegal small-scale mining and the need to implement measures in eradicating it out of our society.
Welcome back on the AM show. It's all about ending illegal mining, aka galamsey. At least illegal small-scale mining, to actually put it in the right perspective. And our guest joining us this morning, Daryl Bosu. He is Deputy Executive Director with Arosha Ghana, an environmental protection group. Then there also is Godwin Ama, who is General Secretary for the Small-Scale Miners Association. Daryl joins us in studio, and Godwin will be joining us via Zoom. Let me quickly say a very good morning to Godwin. Godwin, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Great. So I wanted to do the sound check and all. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Also here in the studio, Daryl Bosu. Thank you, Daryl, for joining us once
Thank
more.
you also for having me. Yeah.
Great. So I'll just have you speak up a little.
Okay.
So we can hear you better.
All right.
Galamsey, it's been a long time. We've come a long way.
Yeah.
It's been decades, literally, and we've been battling with this. Now it's been described as a national emergency. Just how much of a national emergency do we find ourselves in? And what is the current state of our natural resources vis-a-vis galamsey? Break it down for us.
Okay, so before we go really deep into this, I need to make a distinction between what we call galamsey,
right?
Because there are also several other forms of mining. There is the small-scale mining. There's also the large-scale mining. So anytime we say galamsey,
there is the illegal
we are talking
small-scale mining.
Not necessarily. These are all the illegal actors who are operating outside those people who have been licensed to actually operate. Some of them come in the form of small-scale. Some also come in the form of artisanal, and they go to the field with their pitchforks and also pans and all of that. They do not necessarily have the support of other mining support agencies, but they are so widespread, they don't have license to operate. So these are the people we are talking about, those who work outside the formalized mining sector. And these people for a long time, And by the modus operandi, they actually go to our rivers, they get to our forest reserve, they hide in the thicket of the forest and work. So before you realize, they've caused so much damage. And I'll say that for the last decade, we've had this menace going across the country, stripping our forests bare and polluting our rivers to the extent that most agencies that are responsible for water resources and for forest management and all of that have really cried out, asking for support. And not only them, even communities living close to most of these areas where the operations are happening and find their rivers polluted and all of that have found themselves really in arms sometimes with some of these people. So that is the extent to which these activities have been across the country, and for which reason, looking at the scale of it, if you look at 2016 and look at very recent development, 2018, 2019, you saw Ghana Water Company really crying out that, look, if we do not do something about this, we are going to have serious challenges with water. We've had the Center for...
Even the processes involved will be many more, and the cost of giving us water would be something
more expensive because they need more chemicals to treat the turbid water and all of that. And this is the reason why, looking at all of that, coupled with the fact that even on the field, the operations of these people leads to several casualties and fatalities. You've seen and heard about the countless times people have fallen in pits or people have died and the pit caving in on them and all of that.
It was a recent one. I mean, it happens all
exactly. So all of these issues, and sometimes if you really look at the losses and the impact, you ask yourself, is this worth it? And the fact that it's also widespread makes it worrying. So to go forward and in seeing this issue, I think it's the reason why we've all realized that, look, if we do not deal with it, it is really going to take all of us for ransom. And that is how come we have seen the need. And this has always been the case, right from, I'll say, 2016, we have seen that addressing the menace of galamsey is a national emergency. We've seen the media coalition with galamsey. We've seen several CSOs really work at this. And I think that the fact that we are still on it shows the enormity of the issues that we are dealing with. Now, coupled with that, and talking about the natural resources also, so galamsey does not happen in space. It happens right where our land is, our forest is, our cocoa farms are, and our rivers are. And over time, we've seen significant loss. Recent research data coming out shows that Ghana has lost significant forests, and not because of farming. Farming has always been with that,
right?
But also because of galamsey activities. So they said that we've lost about 60%.
EU, and we'll be talking about the EU, but if you look at their report, why they are threatening the way they are when it comes to capping or cutting down on cocoa exports. They talk about how in the 70s and 80s and 90s and all of that, satellite images and what they showed when it comes to our forest natural cover and what it is now. It tells you that galamsey is basically destroying our environment to the point where, like you were mentioning earlier, not just our water, but it's been even said that if we are not careful, we could get to the point where at some point we're importing water. And I've been in a country where they've had to do that. So you know that it's a possibility.
It's actually a reality. Already, most communities are struggling. They have to depend on sachet water, they have to depend on boreholes, they even have to be supplied with water tankers. And that's the only way they get water. And it's only them. And these rural areas are where we also get water for the cities. So if you look at places like the Birim, the Odan water treatment facility, it's a big town. It's fed by rivers from the Birim and the Ayensu and the Densu. If you look at Koforidua, the Tano, the Pra, people in the western region depend on the Pra and the Ankobra and all of that. So for as long as these sources of water are polluted, and if you take a critical look at Ghana Water Company's treatment stations across the country, they are all sitting right on top of rivers and streams. And these are the same streams that galamsey activities is actually polluting. So for as long as these sources are polluted, the severity of water crisis we're going to face in the future is really going to be dire.
Let me cross over to Godwin now. And you are with the Small Scale Miners Association as General Secretary. What is the state? How do you see our current state in reality when it comes to galamsey? And how do you find the consultative process so far in dealing with the menace?
Okay, thank you and good morning again. If you look at the states of mining in the country now, especially with small-scale mining, there's a lot of illegal mining activities, and mainly in the forest reserves and the use of dredges on our river bodies, which is affecting even this water security and water availability in most of the rural areas that we are working. That small-scale mining activity is taking place. And as the small-scale miners, we don't have clean water even. It's very difficult for us to get recoveries for you to be able to make profits on your investments as a miner. So the activities of illegal miners or galamseyers is affecting everyone. It's affecting everyone. It's a national emergency issue. So with the dialogue that took place, first of all, I have to congratulate the minister and the president for letting us have this dialogue at the first place, because it brought all stakeholders for us to be able to see how best to be able to move forward in ensuring that mining is done in a more sustainable manner. And some of the issues that we were identified for this issue of illegal mining taking place is lack of monitoring and enforcement of our laws, because we have all the laws. We have the buffer zone law, which states clearly how people should mine, and compliance issue is becoming a problem because state institutions lack the necessary resources, and also the issues of interference in their business is also causing a lot of these illegalities in the country. So going forward as an association, we are proposing the community enforcement approach, where the management of the enforcement of illegal mining activity or mining activity can take place at the community doorstep, so that it will not escalate into even the district before it goes to the national, and then it gets out of hand, so that then it will be a national issue. So with the proposal that we are giving in enforcement, one is to add the chiefs. There should be a committee that the chiefs, the Small Scale Miners Association is part, the Minerals Commission, and then the EPA. So that what they will do is every community that mining is taking place in, or where we have blockout areas, the number of companies or small-scale entities that have been given licenses will be available to the committee to know, so that anybody coming outside of it, they will identify that they don't have the requisite license unless Minerals Commission have updated them or have given them that information that this group of people are coming to work here. In that case, we'll be able to eliminate it at the doorsteps, so that those who are politically exposed people or influential people will not be able to put any pressure on this committee, because it's right in the middle of the community, and that will really go a long way to help. But the state now is our forest covers are going in a rapid way. Our water bodies are polluted, there is degradation, and if something is not done urgently, at the end of the day, the issue of sustainability will not be there for everyone.
Okay.
And that is what we stand for as an association, to use our self-policing policy and our task force to help government or collaborate with government to ensure that there is sanity in the industry.
Let me ask you this, Godwin. You have been a part of this process, and as General Secretary of this group of small-scale miners, you represent many thousands. So tell us, what would be your major concern of all of this discussion? Yes, we want to do away with illegal small-scale mining. We want to do away with the effects. But what would be your foremost concern, if you could just name one thing that you were looking out for at this point in time, as far as your association is concerned? What would it be?
The issue of enforcement of the law, to ensure that people do the right thing. Okay. That's the one, because we have all the laws. The legal framework is there, but compliance to the legal framework, if people are not doing the right thing, then we need to enforce the law. So enforcement is a major challenge.
Okay.
And that is what, as an association, we are looking up to the regulatory agencies to do.
Let's come back into the studio, and I'll just read this bit from what Mr. President said. Mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth. But it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the environment that produces the riches. I'll get to this again later when we start another end of the conversation. But this entire consultative process, very quickly, what would you say these past 2 days and the engagement, what has been the fruit of this consultative process?
It's for us, the way we see it has been that it's only provided a platform for the country to dialogue and also reflect on galamsey issues once again. Even though we've been having a discussion at many quarters across the country, this platform brought everybody together and said, look, we've all been having our individual discourse in various locations across the country, but let's all meet together and really, once again, reiterate the issues. And I need to say, a lot of the issues that are coming out through the communique, there was really nothing that was new, but it still highlights the need that, look, we still have a crisis on our hands.
And it's important that you mentioned that. Yeah. In other words, this is basically nothing new. We know of these things. We know the 15 points things. And all of that, what Samuel Abu Jinapor has been telling us. We know them. Yeah. But now we're highlighting them. We're highlighting and hopefully them. We'll act on them. Yes, we are highlighting them, and it is good that we are recognizing that there's been failures, there's been certain challenges, and we are recommitting. And for me, this is very crucial. We are recommitting, but what we also need to ask ourselves is that what are we bringing to the table as we commit? Because we've made really beautiful statements. And I mean, one of the things you said, the president's statement at the opening of the program was really, I would say, very profound. And it's something we've heard him say over and over again. It's about time we start seeing some of these beautiful species translate into action. And so we can have this beautiful dialogue come out of this communique. If we really don't get to work on what needs to be done, then we'll have wasted our time again. Because we did it several years back. And going forward, we need to make it count this time around. So we need to make it count. I remember engaging you, months back, ahead of this dialogue and asking whether you were going to be a part of it, what you were expecting. This is kind of like a roadmap. It's like a flight. And we're still, at a certain berth. We've not got to the final destination. How much of a solution is this? Starting the process, but what more remains to be done? Well, I think for me, what remains to be done now is that the politicians, these people of influence, and the elite in the society who know they have a certain power, and the people, because of our cultural upbringing and all of that, we have respect for authority. They've been abusing that kind of authority, even though there are state institutions that exist to make sure that policies and frameworks are complied with to the letter. This is a particular from everybody said, look, enough with what we have been doing. There's been too much interference. There's been too much involvement. Let's leave the institutions to work. So for me, this is quite a very strong statement. And the fact that we are saying that we're not going to do what we did before, and even we have to disband Vanguard and several other groups, because some of these task force, they were useful for a time. Going forward, we need to make our institutions work. Also important that you bring this up, because you expressed your disappointment the last time I spoke with you about the current regime, the groups that have been set up, and the disappointments. Some have even said that it's been a failure. So what would you really be looking forward to moving on? So we are looking at a decentralized approach to the mining regulation and the compliance system in the country. At the moment, we know, and it should be the only institution in the country who should be supervising the issuing of permits and licenses when it comes to mining. It doesn't matter whether it is community mining, small scale, whatever it is, it should be the Minerals Commission. And we should empower them to do that job. Then again, we already have decentralized systems across the country. If you go to the MMDAs, the Minerals Commission can be found there sometimes. You can also have them at the regional level. We should empower them. One of the key challenges Minerals Commission has been complaining about for a long time, that even necessitated the work of Vanguard and all of that, is the fact that they are not adequately resourced. And we've rather formed parallel institutions outside them who are taking the role of Minerals Commission. Let's close all of that. Let's shut all of them down and give the power, resources, every logistic to Minerals Commission to employ more people, decentralize all these people, and make sure they work. Once again, we have the DCIM, that's the District Committee on Illegal Mining.
We need to open up this system. It is too close a system. Just the EPA, the same institutions that supervise all of these illegalities across the country. We need to open it up to bring in more neutral institutions like, as my colleague said, the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners, civil society, gender advocates. We need them in here so they can speak to the core of the issues.
Right.
We cannot always leave these decisions to the elite in society to the detriment of the masses.
Let me cross over now to Godwin, who joins us via Zoom. Now, this consultative process, will this in all reality solve our problems? Is this how we should have started the process? Because the talk shop, we've always opened it. We've spoken and spoken and spoken. People like you have spoken. The political leaders have spoken. But it's not got us anywhere. Is this what is going to solve our problems?
Yeah, I think there's always a first step. And the dynamics changes when it comes to issue of illegal mining. It's like an octopus with a lot of tentacles. You hold one, then the other one will be operating. So this is a first step that I think we should all engage. It's a shared responsibility. So if you have a platform that you engage everyone for us to take the best decision forward, I think it's something that is good. And you also look at the commitment of the minister, we've seen that sort of commitment, that we've done it in the past, we've evaluated it, there are challenges, and we need to find ways and means for us together to ensure that we do this. So that is one thing that I'll commend him for. But then the next issue is, most of it, when we finish these dialogues and get a blueprint, we go to do the district or the regional engagement. The implementation aspect has always been a challenge. So that is the next stage that we should look at. The dialogue, after everything, and the blueprint, we should look at how best do we come out with proper implementation strategies which will suit the challenges that we have on the ground. And that is where we always have the challenge. The district mining committees, as my brother said in the studio, that is supposed to handle issues of small-scale mining or illegal mining at the district level, because if you look at the small-scale sector, it's the menace of illegal mining is a national challenge, but its solution lies in the local level. The district mining committees are not very resourced. They don't even meet. And if you you look at the constitution of the committee, and as my brother said, we need to add other groups also into it so that it will be more effective. The next stage is to ensure that the issue of Minerals Commission interference from above should be eliminated. And as an association, we are prepared to commit and collaborate with all the state agencies to ensure that we self-govern the small-scale sector. That is the only way that will be able to bring the change that we want. And also hold people in leadership for their stewardship. Because if you are a district chief executive and you are representing government at the districts, and the vision of government you go contrary to, then there should be some sort of this thing that will be taken against such person. Because if you get to the community now, you see a lot of galamsey going on in the name of community mining, which most of them are being aided by some district chief executives. Instead of Minerals Commission leading to issue licenses for people to operate under the community mining scheme, which is a flagship program of government, these district chief executives, some of them are going contrary to what the law states, and they are issuing licenses, permits for people, which is not their jurisdiction. And what is happening is no one is monitoring. And if you go to most of the districts, you realize that the environmental degradation is going higher and higher. And that is why some of the chiefs are complaining, like Ochihine said, the issue of community mining, he thinks is going to be worse than galamsey. The community mining as a scheme is one of the best, because there's governance structure that the Minerals Commission put in place. And it's also not replacing small-scale mining, as people are thinking. It's not replacing small. It's a scheme under the small-scale mining to mainstream illegal miners into the legal framework for them to be properly monitored so that they will follow the compliance issue. So these are some of the things that we need to do. Implement all the strategies properly for us to achieve the ultimate.
Okay, and it's very important you make those points, and even in the studio, Daryl, because I recall there was a time when I don't know whether it was a DCE who was sort of calling out the system and saying that in this community it is galamsey that the youth do, and this is how they thrive.
Yes.
I've just forgotten.
That's around Bosomefra.
Yes, yes.
So the communities also rising.
So you notice the sort of problem we have, because sometimes even those at the helm of affairs themselves do not understand what this is doing to us, and that is one good thing, because in this entire process, you've had former, leaders of the Chamber of Mines. You've had chiefs, representatives from the National House of Chiefs, the regional houses of chiefs, their presidents. You've had people in the mining industry, stakeholders across the board, coming through to Georgia to share ideas on this. But I want to start this conversation with you in the studio. The European Union has said that it's going to ban exports from the Ivory Coast and Ghana, cocoa exports, I should say, owing to illegal mining, or what we call galamsey, small-scale illegal mining. And that has raised a lot of eyebrows. In fact, Mr. President said that we don't need anybody to tell us about the reality of our situation. But the other reality is that we've not dealt with the situation properly. How do you feel? Is the European Union being a big bully, or is it being a friend in this respect? And let's not forget, 80% of our cocoa exports go to them. What's your take?
Yes, so I think they are being both a bully and a friend.
At the same time?
At the same time, yes, because, I mean, taking the bully position is very strategic, also to help us recognize that, look, there are issues we need to deal with. Because for a long time, we have blamed the cocoa sector, as responsible for degradation and forest loss across the country. But if you really go down to the ground, in the last decade, it is not cocoa anymore. It is galamsey activities, even taking over cocoa farms. And the fact that galamsey is happening in cocoa farms also has implications for the kind of chemicals that are really getting within the cocoa value chain, because galamsey involves the use of several heavy metals, and these have the tendency to get into the food system if we do not manage it. So these are where all these concerns are from. A friend, because the European Union has also been supporting Ghana for many years on issues of forest, sustainable forest management and all of that. But that said, I need to recognize that for a long time, Cocoa Board and the Forestry Commission have really been working very hard to stem the tide of illegal mining activities and other activities that are leading to the destruction of our forests, which indirectly is also affecting cocoa, because the more we lose forest, the more the surface temperatures increase and becomes not so conducive for cocoa production. So I like the stance of the EU, like they know the power they have now, where they import 80%, but at the same time, they are also trying to tell us that, look, you better do something about this, because it's not just about cocoa, because there are also several other land uses within the space. That is also has to do with people's human rights and all that. And for as long as the EU is always pushing out for human rights and also for the sustainability of the environment and other aspects of global well-being, these definitely will be a cause of concern for them.
Okay. Let me quickly come to you, Godwin, on that very beat. How do you take the reaction of the European Union? Friend or bully?
It's both. If you look at mining and then agriculture, there's always competition for space. They are all competing for space. But if we do the mining properly and reclaim properly, we can still take the gold from the earth and also reclaim and get our plants back. The issue is we are not doing it the way we are supposed to do. Because there are areas that there have been a lot of degradation. And most of that land can never be used unless we put in a lot of money for us to be able to reclaim and rejuvenate to get the fauna and flora back. So I think we should look at it. That's why we are all seeing it as emergency, the issue of illegal mining activity or people not practicing responsible mining. Because we will have people who are issued, some miners who are issued with license, and the issues of compliance will not be at the rate that we want it to be. So it's both. We all need to look at it that way. And also Cocoa Board should come out with strategy, because if you watch clearly, it's not only small scale or illegal mining or mining that is competing with space. Most of the farmers now, I'm a practitioner, I'm a miner. When we get to the field, some tell you, look, we want to sell our cocoa farms because we are not making anything out of it. We are not making any money out of the cocoa farm. And after reclamation, if you visit some of the sites that we've worked on, they prefer to plant coconuts. Some prefer to plant rubber. So the issue needs to be looked at in depth. We need to do it. The cocoa but need to do research and know why most of the farmers are losing interest in planting of the cocoa. Are they not making that much? Because if you look at them, I tried to plant cocoa, so I was looking at the costings myself. And I look at the labor, paying those people and all that. And if I compare it with how much I'm getting at the end of the day, will I be able to make that profit? So those are some
there
of
are
the
not
things
sufficient incentives for
yes,
that
the
industry.
incentives are not there for them.
Right.
So most of them are selling their. So if someone comes who is an illegal miner, is offering him a very good price, the next thing he will do is he will sell.
Good point.
Get some money. And at the end of the day, so it just goes beyond only blaming illegal miners, mining and all that. But there should be a study to understand why most of the farmers are now losing interest in cocoa farming.
Okay.
Then the European Union, as we see, have always supported Ghana. But I believe in what the president said, that no one should come from outside to tell us what to do. We know the things that are affecting this country. We need to. And with the right leadership, I tell you, ordinary people can do extraordinary things. And leadership is very important in whatever we do.
Right. Knowing a problem is only a part of the problem. Acting to solve the problem is the other side of it. You wanted to quickly add something?
Yes, I wanted to say that the way we're also handling the cocoa farmers, we need to be very strategic. We've made it such that it should all be about cocoa. There needs to be a system where we help cocoa farmers diversify their income streams. It is not the land, for as long as the land is fertile for production for cocoa, you can use it for other things.
Right.
You can do plantain, and there are several high-end, what you call non-timber forest products, which are mostly spices and other crops like the pear and all of that, which you can integrate in your cocoa farm and give you several other income streams. So whilst we're engaging farmers, we should move away from the idea of monocultures and cropping of our farmland, so that when the crop is out of season, we'll find ourselves wanting. We need to have that discussion where we diversify the income streams available to farmers and not just focus on one particular crop to the extent that if it starts losing out on income, then we are really found wanting. Again,
multi-cropping.
Exactly. We should also be very strategic. I mean, like my colleague said, mining is competing with other land uses. Cocoa and the others are surface rights. Mining is you take it from underground, and once you turn it upside down, it takes not less than 10 years for you to actually return the land to productive use. And this is something that we really need to assess quickly, because yes, mining might seem to be lucrative now, but the bigger question is, what is the long-term impact and effect on all the other surface rights that you get? So as a country, there has been, I would say recently, some sort of prioritization for the minerals beneath, and not prioritization for the resources on the land, which is more accessible to most people and also the masses of the populace.
Okay, and it's interesting, again, it segues neatly into what I'm about to mention, because you're looking at mining which goes down, turns everything upside down, and the longevity itself of mining is finite.
Yes,
you get it. Our gold resources will get exhausted. Our black gold, the oil will get exhausted. But farming is a process that if you maintain the land, you can do for thousands of years to come. I'll go back. I promised I would do this, and I am going to do it. I'm going to quote Mr. President again when he said, mining can create jobs, mining can improve livelihoods, and mining can generate wealth, but it cannot and must not do so at the expense of damaging the very environment that produces the riches. Why am I bringing this up? I'm going to twist the conversation just a little and talk about Etiwa. Etiwa has been designated by our government as a significant biodiversity area, and now it's also made it on the list of Alliance for Zero Extinction. Basically, another step in terms of protection of our natural resources. What can you tell us about this new development, especially as Etiwa is also in the picture, but on a different level when it comes to bauxite?
So the president's statement should apply to every aspect of our lives as a nation.
Right.
We do not, on one hand, close our eyes. For example, we are looking at greening Ghana somewhere on June 11. It's a great idea. But the question you ask yourself is, why be planting trees when there is also a mass deforestation going on? Let's arrest that mass deforestation, and this will be a very good complement. Otherwise, some people really doubt your commitment to the process. So it's the same thing with this statement.
Do you doubt the president's commitment to the process?
No, I'm saying that what you say and your actions eventually will confirm whether you mean it or not. Because in one breath you are saying we should recognize the inextricable link of our lives to land and the resources it gives us, as well as the other riches. But in one breath also, we are supporting other activities that is going to destroy that same land. And we are also working hard at stopping galamsey. But here is the case, there's a bigger national policy to say that we are going to mine in critical ecosystems across the country. If you do that, it's even much more bigger than the galamsey we are seeing, and you are not setting the right tone for the rest of the population to follow along. So now, the new designation when it comes to Atiwa, what it actually means is that the forest is so significant in every aspect, for water services, for biodiversity, and for as long as the international community lists an area like that, it means that this area has a high endemism of species. Endemism means that there are so many species that can only be found in this forest reserve and nowhere else in the world.
It's interesting you bring that up. Let me just, because the Efia-Brago paddle frog was recently discovered by Ghanaian scientist Dr. Caleb Ofori-Boateng of the CSIR Forestry Research Institute. And it's practically on the verge of extinction, but we find it in Atiwa.
Exactly. And it's also only found in Atiwa. You actually don't find it anywhere else in the world.
Wow.
And the other thing is that as we speak, there are a few other species which are being classified, trying to identify their names before we even put them out, because we realize that they're also new species to science and also to the world. So Atiwa, as we see, aside the significant water services, is also very high diversity for biodiversity. And that is how come the global community has seen the need to put it on that list of no-go zone, on the Alliance for Zero Extinction site. And once you are put on this site, it means that the international financial community already flags this place as no-go area for any investment whatsoever, and that means that if you even want to consider any venture, it's going to be very, very difficult for anybody to put their best foot forward.
Okay, so to wrap the conversation, I'll give you 30 seconds each. Godwin, what next in the following days, weeks, months? What do you want to see?
Yeah, thank you. I want to just
please make it very brief.
Saying that it will take 10 years for you to for land to be rejuvenated for planting. It depends on how the reclamation is done. If reclamation is done properly, maximum by 2 years, that land can be used. You can use it for any other crop. Because we did some reclamation, and in 6 months, maize grown, and it grown very well, cassava and all that. So the issue is, if people do the reclamation properly, we can get the land back to good use. And I also look at the implementation. The next 2, 3, up to the next month will be the issue of going through the communities to engage with them on this issue of the dialogue, and then put the blueprints forward for us to start the issue of implementation. But what I would say now is we shouldn't wait for the conversation to get to our communities. We've heard it. DCs are the various on the various district mining committees should start to act. They are the head of the security. Dissect it. So they should start to act and ensure that we get rid of these illegal miners on our water bodies in the land as a whole.
Thank you very much. Godwin, your 30 seconds. So what do you want to see the next few days, weeks, months?
As we are still preparing the dialogue documents and all of that, galamsey activities are still ongoing in the field. And I think that we need to have an immediate stopgap measure in place to ensure that we halt it to a certain extent and make sure that we put in the necessary mechanism. I'm going to stress again the importance for us to prepare and sufficiently resource Minerals Commission, the EPA, and the Water Resource Commission to take charge of the mineral sector in this country. No more political interference and involvement.
I'd like to say a very big thank you to Godwin Ama, General Secretary, Small Scale Miners Association, and of course, Daryl Bosu, Deputy Executive Director at Arusha, Ghana. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Benjamin.
It's been a pleasure. And the conversation continues.
Sure. Thank you.
So, do stay with us when we come back on the AM show. Just think about this, food for thought. Think of the trotro mate shouting himself hoarse to attract passengers. That market woman or hawker screaming her lungs out to attract customers, or maybe even the street preacher or pastor in church raising his voice to decibels that would make even a whistle proud. But all these people, in frequently pitching their voices this high, expose themselves to sometimes irreparable damage to their vocal cords and voice boxes. This is called voice disability, and some 92 million people across the world suffer from some form of it. If you'd like to know more about how to safeguard your voice and make the most of it, especially if you're a singer, broadcaster, voiceover artist, pastor, hawker, politician, lawyer, actor, actress, and more, stay with us as we host Godwin Tetevi, speech and language therapist at the Ridge Hospital, and Letitia Afi-Gomado, speech and language therapist as well with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital on World Voice Day. That's our next conversation. Welcome back on the AM show, and we're talking about, yes, our voices. We take them for granted until you maybe lose them through something. Today is World Voice Day. It's been observed since 1999, starting from faraway Brazil. And this morning we have joining us in the studio Letitia Afi-Gomado, speech and language therapist with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and of course Godwin Tetevi, who is same a speech and language therapist with the Accra Ridge Hospital, or the Great Accra Regional Hospital. Gentlemen, lady, a very good morning to you. Thank you for joining the conversation.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking, well, the voice, we all speak. What's the wahala with voice? But in the United States, like I was sharing earlier, some 9.4 million people actually have what we call voice disability. Across the world, about 1.2% of the global population, which is almost 100 million people. But talking of our voices, what's the relevance of a day like this? Why should we even be talking about our voices? Let me start with you, Godwin.
Okay. So the voice, as we see or know it, is something very little but very powerful. Okay, it's in the larynx. It helps us to do whatever we want to do. Even as we sit here, it is the voice that is making it possible for us to communicate. Without that voice, we cannot communicate over here now. So it's very important for the quality of life that we want to live. Yeah, that's why the voice is very, very important.
It's crucial, and I've through my readings, I've also discovered that some people even miss out on work owing to voice problems and all of that. In other words, it impacts work activity, it impacts revenue generation. It has more of an impact than many of us care to talk about. But coming to Afi, here's something peculiar I've found out. Maybe it is my voice, I don't know, you can tell me. But recently I was at a bank, and this is not something that has happened for the first time. I got to the bank and someone, walked up to me and said, Benjamin Akakpo? And I said, yes. It wasn't because the person had seen me, because the person admitted that the mask did not allow him to figure out who it was. But I was speaking to someone and he was behind the screen and he had heard my voice. And that was what prompted him to come and ask Benjamin Akakpo. So it was basically my voice that the person used to identify me. How much can people identify, a person? Is it unique like a fingerprint?
So basically your voice is you.
Right.
I mean, if I'm speaking here, if someone here says, oh, that's Letitia, just because it's unique. It's just you. That has to do with a voice. So Yeah, it has a unique imprint that everybody identifies with.
Okay.
So this is Benjamin Akapo. Okay, this is Godwin. I just heard him speak. I might not necessarily see his face, and especially with these nose marks on, it's difficult to, recognize people these days. But your voice just picks you out.
Right. So it's kind of like your unique vocal fingerprint.
That's
if
it.
you like.
That's it. Exactly.
We'll be talking shortly about the importance of having your voice, and again, maybe how to maintain it. It's like a vehicle. It's like anything else. You have to maintain it, or you could lose it. Especially if you are like me, you use your voice to make a living. If you're a lawyer, you're a public speaker, you're a politician, you are that trotro mate. I was highlighting that. You are that Makola woman. You always, hey, amo. You're also, stretching your voice. But I know you have this chart here. You were speaking about the larynx a short while ago.
Yeah.
If we could project this, it would be beautiful. So let's take a quick look at basically the structure when it comes to our voice box or our vocal cords. Just walk us through that. And we have it on our screens.
Yes. So the first one up there, the adducted is when there is no voice going on, there is no speech going on. It's there, and the other
So that's the abducted?
Yes.
Folded vocal cords?
Yes.
Okay.
And then, so when it's in section, it moves. So what we see there, it's the healthy vocal cords. There is no issue with it. Okay? That's what we see 1 and 2. And then when we come here, we can see the back view cut of the larynx. That's down.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the back view cut below. That is actually below
the vocal folds.
Now. Okay.
Okay.
Let's go ahead.
Okay, so that is it. And so that's where the voice box, as commonly used, is located. That's where it is. And the vocal folds are in the voice box. And that's what makes it possible for us to talk. And it moves in this way, this direction. So you see it as a wave.
So kind of like a flowing direction.
Exactly. So that's how it works. And so usually the disorders or problems come when this becomes so fast, it's not lubricated,
right?
And so becomes so dry. And so we find out that there are problems, it becomes so dry, then the impact stress is more. So it's hitting each other more. And once that is happening, there may be different things happening to it. Those will pop up, some other things will come up.
The friction itself is not too good for it, is it?
No, it's not
that level of friction.
Yes. So especially
when
when
lubricated enough.
Exactly. Especially when it's dry, it's not good.
So how much of a role does the liquid content we consume have in here, Letitia? Because I'm sure in lubricating it, you might also be considering water and other things we take.
Exactly. So as much as possible, you should take water, which is around room temperature.
Right.
As much as possible, because the cold one sometimes freezes the voice a little bit. So you should take water as often as possible. And it shouldn't be only when you're thirsty. People would want to take water only when they're thirsty, but as much as possible, keep sipping on water, especially for professional voice users like you. Sip water as much as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's something that, I'm sure all broadcasters know. When you're coming on air, you don't want to take chilled water because it does all sorts of things to your voice. Then you start struggling with. But here's something. I want to highlight it because I've known someone who has gone through this.
Okay.
I used to work in this place once, and there was a colleague. She sings in church. She still does. But she had an addiction to eating ice. It got so bad that the doctors had to tell her if she didn't stop, she would completely lose her voice. And I know there are other people with such addictions, some like very chilled stuff and all of that. What would you say to such people and what damage they may be doing to their voices? Letitia, I would like you to take that.
All right. So I would encourage such people to drastically reduce it because it freezes the voice.
When you say it freezes the voice, paint a picture. What does it really do?
So it is like at a point is inefficient. It loses its...
So the vocal cords can't even stand contract.
Exactly. So as much as possible, just take the room temperature. Just take the normal warm water. It helps with the irritations. It helps soothe the place as much as possible. So we would encourage people to take in the warm water, the room temperature, water with the room temperature. It helps than the freezing cold water. Yes.
What would you have to say about that?
Yeah, so once the person continues taking that water, cold one, like she rightly said, it prevents the free movement of the vocal cords.
That's it.
Okay, so it goes there to inhibit it, irritate it in a way, because once you take it, the first thing we'll take, so it has done something to the vocal folds. So we take that sigh to release it, to relieve ourselves of that irritation over there. And so the more we continue to do that, the effect it will have on the vocal cords, it's what they might be explaining to the young lady.
Okay, let's talk exercise for the voice and also nutrition. But even before we get into that, I've noticed on a personal level that when I am physically active, it impacts my voice. My voice sounds richer, deeper, and my breath control is better when I work out, when I do my jogging or something. When I've not done it for a while, sometimes my breath control is a bit this and that. That is just general exercise. What can you say about exercise and its impact on a human being's voice, and what specific exercises, if there are, can you do for a better voice, if you're a singer maybe, or something like that?
So I have this here. These are exercise flashcards.
Right.
So there is one for the posture. We have the relaxation or release of tension exercises that we also do. There is breathing exercises.
Okay.
As speech therapists, will take you through how you can breathe for you to be able to keep your voice in order. And also we have the onset note or resonance. So what do you bring out, how you can bring it out for it to be clear enough. So those are some of the exercises that...
What shape, what form do these exercises take? Is the person lying prostrate? Just give us a bit of a rough image.
Yes, depending on your voice condition or what you present. So maybe the person comes and what is happening may be stress, and so we need to relax the muscles around the neck region, the muscles around the back. So all that would impact the vocal cords. So that's exercise is there to release, to relieve you of the stress.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just mention this. Our phone lines are active, especially if you're suffering anything to do with your voice. You can reach out. The speech therapists, speech and language therapists are in the studio, and they just might be able to help you out. Call 0302-211-691 extension 2. 0302-211-691 extension 2. You can call that number and let's talk about your concerns to do with your voice or any other. Maybe you might also have some information to share with us. You can do that as well. On the bit about exercise, I saw you wanted to chip in something.
Yes, just for practicality, you would want to encourage people, yes, we've talked about water, to take water as often as possible. Also steam inhalation.
Steam inhalation?
Yes, yes, yes. It helps to moisturize the voice box as much as possible. And we should take...
So let's just get this clear. Because on the back of COVID, people have done so many things. So let's just get
yes.
When you say steam, like steam, just the water, steam,
exactly,
that's it. Don't add anything.
No. Just
some people sometimes say, I do this, I add a salt, or I add, that's a granulated salt, or I add honey, or I add lime or something. Just water.
Just water.
All right.
Just water. Take enough rest. You know, sometimes there's something, you call people and then they tell you, oh, I'm tired. You ask them, are you sick? And they tell you, no, I'm not sick. I'm just tired. You notice that whatever you do to your body, it has an impact on the voice. So as much as possible, people should take rest. And as professional voice users, you want to have some vocal rest. So you know you are on the show from 8 to 10. That's the duration. Before the show, after the show, just rest your voice. After the show, don't go out screaming, yeah, Manchester won. Yeah, no.
Okay.
As much as possible, rest the voice.
Rest the voice. And I'll be coming back to you with a question on resting, actually. Okay. But let's pick our first caller, Selena from Cove Town. Selena, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great.
Great. So what's your question or contribution?
Please, I'm losing my voice for about a year now, but I don't know what the problem is. I'm seeing a speech therapist at regional hospitals before they are, but still, it is not as it used to be. I can't sing now. I can only talk, but I can't sing clearly now.
Wow. I can even hear it from the way you're speaking.
Yes.
Okay, so Selena, that's your concern, and I'll have the speech therapist in the studio address that. Thank you so much for calling, Selena. Is that it? All right. Let's now move on to Ahmed in Boku. Ahmed, good morning.
Good morning.
What are your concerns? Thank you for calling into the show. What are your concerns?
My question is about the role of the tongue and how it impacts on your audible voice. And if there are any advice on how you keep it, and how you sort of like the, how you clean it to sort of enable what do you call it, quality voice.
Okay, so basically the role of the tongue as far as your voice is concerned.
Yeah.
Okay, so the role of the tongue as far as voice is concerned. Moses in Savelugu. Moses, good morning.
Good morning.
What thoughts do you have to share with us, Moses?
I want to say a big thank you for sharing this useful information with us. But my question is, if I shout for
Moses, go on. We are listening to you.
Yeah, I'm saying if I talk for at least 30 minutes, I feel that there's something in my throat that I need to clear. And sometimes it makes it very difficult for me to have a speech for at least 45 minutes or 1 hour. So what is the cause of that?
So in other words, fatigue when it comes to speaking. Okay. Moses from Savelugu, I hope you're noting down the different issues that are being raised. We have Wallace from Tamale. Wallace, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, now that's a baritone voice. Good to hear. So what are your concerns, Wallace?
Please, I have a 5-year-old boy.
Okay.
There is nothing wrong with him medically. Okay. But the speech is not coming.
The speech is not coming?
Yes.
5 years old?
Yes.
Okay. So that's your concern. Have you taken the child to any medical facility?
Yes, I went and the therapist is not around in Tamale teaching hospital.
Right. Okay, so lucky day for you because today we have 2 of them right here in the studio. But let's hold on now and take some answers. So Selena was the one who posed the question about some problems she's facing with her voice. And I think she's the one in Koforidua. Then there was Ahmed, who also shared the bit about the tongue and the role it plays. Then there was Moses from Savelugu, who faces some speech impediments. He can't talk. After talking for a while, he has problems. And then the very last one with Wallace, with a 5-year-old boy who doesn't speak. Would you like to start for us?
Yes, let me start with Wallace in Tamale. We have a speech and language therapist in Tamale Teaching Hospital, so he should probably go there and then make inquiries so they can be able to diagnose exactly what is wrong with the boy. Okay. And for Moses, he had a challenge with clearing his throat. So yes, I wanted to add that in taking care of your voice, you should avoid clearing your throat. It's a very bad habit because it's like you are banging your vocal cords every now and then. So,
Asamabo.
Yes.
We should avoid that?
Yes.
We do that practically all the time.
Okay, so let me give you an alternative or a compensatory strategy. Instead, you should swallow your saliva if you don't have water with you.
So don't clear your throat. Don't make that sound, that motion.
Let me try for people to.
Right.
You know.
It's dangerous.
It's a bad thing to do.
Wow. So what is happening? The vocal cords are banging.
Yes. It's like we banging a door, walking out on a door and then banging it.
That's why they're lawu. We are dead though. So we should rather swallow saliva.
Yes.
Or drink water.
Yes, sip on water every now and then. Yes, I know that temptation is there to, you know, kind of clear it sometimes, but as much as possible, sip on water if you have it by you. But if not, swallow your saliva. It helps.
Right. Any other answers to some?
Yes, so just to add to what Letitia said concerning Moses. Yeah, so Moses should also identify the kind of things he eats or drinks. So usually we were speaking to a lady downstairs who said, okay, when I take palm nut or palm oil in food
or related
items, she has that urge, to clear her throat. So she has stopped.
Right.
So we want Moses to also identify some of those things that causes it, and then avoid, as much as possible, avoid the usage of that.
Okay, so that brings me to the point of, so there could be certain things, just as we have allergies and the rest, there could be irritants to your body.
Exactly.
So you must also note some of those things.
Yes,
and if you see that this doesn't work for me, you stop it.
You stop
exactly.
it.
Right. Yes. I know people who tell me when they take contumely, I mean, this is nothing to damage anyone's contumely business, but a few people who tell me they react to it and it impacts their voice. They'll be itching in the mouth, first of all, and then the voice would be, you know, so you need to know yourself and work on the voice. There was a 5-year-old.
Yes, I addressed it. That was
that's what you were first.
So
how about the one who talks about, okay, so let's start.
Selena from Cove Town. Yes, so she said she's been going to the speech therapist, but still, like I said, she has to identify what is causing the problem.
Perhaps she's not been told.
Once you get to the speech therapist, there are some techniques we will teach you to do, and we'll give you some tips for your vocal hygiene. So once
vocal hygiene?
Yes.
Wow.
How you take care of the voice. And so those tips, they are basic things we'll give you, even if you have something that is medical to say, we still will give you how to take care of it, protect it so you don't aggravate the situation. Okay. So Selena should find out what it's really impacting that, what is causing that, so that she can try to reduce it. And to also add that voice therapy, it's not when we come 1, 2, 3, the problem will be resolved. No. It took a longer time for the problem to come. So as you start therapy, it will also take a bit of time for it to resolve.
Right. For Selena, for the fact that she's a teacher and she sings, that also compounds things. So maybe for now, she can hold on with the singing.
Right, so just to give her vocal cords some rest.
Exactly.
This just came to mind. Situations like tonsillitis and the rest. Can other conditions you face impact your voice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Other conditions, especially in the pharyngeal or whatever.
Yes, it can have an impact. Yes, it can have an impact on the voice as well.
Okay. Yeah. There was this bit I wanted to run by you. So sometimes you realize that when you fast, your voice takes a different, you know, when you've not eaten or drunk anything for a while. What accounts for that?
So you see, when you're not, let's say for about 4 hours, when you've not eaten, there's this acid regurgitation, which comes back into your throat area. So as much as possible, even if you're fasting, drink water.
Okay.
Just to moisturize the place for you.
So it doesn't have an impact when you're fasting, but you must lubricate.
Exactly,
which means drinking some water.
Yes.
So that means our brothers and sisters who are fasting now, the month of Ramadan, you might want to take stock of a bit of that. I know they go dry, but maybe, so in other words, it's not advisable to go this entire 12-hour, 24-hour. I know I'm treading on a very sensitive issue, but in the end, look, in my church, when it's Lent and we have to fast and all of that, I mean, there are different ways of fasting, but you are told categorically, especially if you're not too well or if you're facing this or that, no, don't push yourself to a certain point because you might face bodily consequences. You must put your head to the issues. So what advice would you give people who are fasting for long hours? Let me just put it that way.
Okay, so for long hours, let me say first that when they are not taking in water, the body loses it. The small one you have in, you pass it through urine, so everything is coming down gradually. And that dryness is there. And so after some time, you realize that no, you are either having dry throat or something, okay? So what I would advise is they should try as much as possible. If not to sit down and drink at a go, they can be sipping.
A little sip.
Yes, especially those who use their voices. Maybe I may just be there not really using my voice, maybe doing some typing and other things. Those who use the voice, presenters.
Like me?
Yes. Marketers, mates, all these people, they need to
Market women.
Market women, they have to be sipping the water. Teachers also, they all have to sip, because the more they use the voice, the more the banging happens. And if it's not hydrated, there's a problem.
Let's talk quickly. Nutrition. Some have said, oh, you want a good voice, eat a banana, or do this, or do that. What should people take stock of when it comes to the right diet, the right things to do, apart from water, to ensure that your voice is maintained? And maybe if you use your voice a lot, like I do, that you can actually sustain it. What do we do?
Okay, so people should eat healthy. Right. Basically.
That's the basis.
Yes. And as much as possible, you avoid spicy foods.
Okay.
Yes.
Foods that are very spicy have an impact on the voice?
Yes, it irritates the voice box. So as much as possible, you avoid spicy foods. But generally, just eat healthy.
Okay. Yeah. Let's quickly go over the phone lines. We have more callers. Kranting from Suhum. Good morning, Kranting. What are your concerns?
Good morning. I want to know about people who are said to have somebody who has a sweet ear. What is the cause of the problem?
Could you repeat that question?
Somebody who has a sweet ear. They sing in discordant notes.
They sing in discordant notes?
Yes. Somebody with a sweet ear.
With a split ear?
Yeah, that's the expression they use for people who sing in discordant notes.
Right. So I think basically someone who is singing, I don't know, out of tune? Discord, basically. So that is the problem. Kranting, thank you very much for sharing. Dick and Hope in Sawam. Hello?
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Your thoughts, your concerns?
Okay. I love music. I love to sing. But then when I'm singing, it doesn't sound nice to even myself.
Wow.
I don't know whether I have hope that when I see therapists, they can work on my voice for me.
Right.
So that's my concern.
So you want to know whether you should go ahead and consult a therapist?
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. All right. Let's take some answers. Who will start?
I'll take Deacon Hope's question. Yeah, so if he wants to learn how to sing, he has to see a voice therapist or a music coach, and then they would help him how to modulate, what to say, what not to say, how to hold the breath control is one important thing for singing. And so they'll teach him all that. And then from there, like I said, it won't take 2 or 3 weeks. It will take a lot of work and a long time. So Deacon Hope, you can visit any of the speech therapists in all the teaching hospitals and some regional hospitals.
If you're singing discordant tunes, basically, what do you do?
So you should, if it's a concern, if you think it's a concern and everybody thinks it's a concern, I think you should see a speech therapist or you should see an ENT specialist first.
Right, ear, nose and throat
specialist first. They would have to assess and diagnose. Then you can come to the speech therapist for a proper assessment as well. And then we can take it up from there.
I don't know whether to call it natural, but some people, whether male or female, their voices sound hoarse, and I think it's natural to them. But how, I'm sure the person's problem would be, how do I determine whether this is naturally me or this is a speech impediment?
Well, I can say, so what do you do? Okay, what you do will also let you know that, okay, it's either a vocal abuse, you've used the voice over time, and that is it. But if you are someone who doesn't really use the voice that much, and you find that the best thing is to see an ENT specialist or to see a speech therapist, and then we'll be able to determine whether it's because of your professional life or is because of something else. There's other things that have impact on the vocal cords, and then we'll find out where the issue is coming from and give you the necessary help.
If it also doesn't impact your quality of life, I think you're good to go.
You're good to go.
Yes.
You spoke about phlegms and you spoke about clearing our throats earlier, but some people also have phlegms. I mean, some people produce a lot of phlegm. For them, what do they do? I hear swallowing that might also be problematic. So what do these people do? Because they would want to hawk it and throw it out.
So water.
Water?
Still preach the water bit, that you should sip on water. Because if you sip on water, it naturally comes out on its own without necessarily forcing it, clearing it to bring it out. So you encourage you to still sip on water as often as possible.
Okay. Yeah. So before you take leave of us, I just want you to highlight. Today is World Voice Day since 1999. It's been celebrated starting in Brazil. About 92 million people across the world have voice disability. What would be your final words, 30 seconds each, on the importance of, maybe not the importance of today, but how to do the right things to ensure that you live a good quality of life, at least vocally? I'll start with you, Letitia.
Okay. So I would like to encourage people that your voice is you. As much as possible, take care of it. Don't be screaming all around the place, yelling and all that. Instead of yelling, you can get close to your conversation partner and then talk to the person, or maybe use some gestures or signs to aid. But let's take care of our voices because it's you. If you lose it, you've lost a great deal.
Godwin?
Okay, so I'll say we should eat healthy. We should avoid all spicy foods, caffeinated drinks, especially if you are someone who uses your voice. Caffeinated drinks, we should stop.
So a lot of the, again, I'm not trying to ruin people's business, but a lot of the energy
drinks, exactly.
Yeah.
And also we should avoid eating late and then going to bed immediately.
Yeah.
What happens is...
Eating late come inside.
Yes. So what happens is there's a reflux. So all that comes and settles around the vocal cords and then gives you some irritations over there. And when you wake up in the morning, you find a lot of phlegms there and you are forced to try to bring all that up. And so that's what I would say. We should avoid doing some of these things. And today's theme is one word, many voices.
One world, many voices. It's been a great pleasure. I have personally learned a lot. Thank you very much. Letitia Afi, who is actually with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital speech and language therapist, and we also have Godwin Tetevi, speech and language therapist with the Ridge Hospital. But before you go, I'll tell you what. We're having a Thankful Friday, and I am thankful for so many things I can't even start, starting with life, starting with my family, the fact that I'm doing this, I love this job. I'm thankful for you, for the two of you, for the education you've given us this morning. What are you thankful for?
I'm thankful for my life.
For your life?
Yes.
Great. What are you?
Same here.
Great. So it's a Thankful Friday. When we return, we want to find out what you are thankful for. 4 months in 2021. Some people didn't make it into the year. COVID, some people have died and all of that. What are you thankful for? And what song best expresses your thankfulness? If you want to know the song that expresses my thankfulness, stay. When we return, you'll hear it.